Hey guys, Jeff here for One Fish, Two Fish. Today we are going to show you guys in our series of One Fish, Two Fish Explains why a lot of, and this is from personal experience, this is from what we have done for the last 10 years, why it is tricky to do returns on livestock. So in a full disclaimer, we actually do not do anything livestock is a final sale in the store. From a $200 brain coral to a $4 guppy. Once livestock leaves the store, it is purchased, it is yours. The reason behind that, and 95% of the time there is no sort of questions about it, it's very understood on why we do that. But the reason why we do that is obvious, that once it leaves the store, it is very hard for us to know the living conditions it's going to, if something was picking at it, if it was in a tank that was accustomed to, if there was any outside issues that affected the coral or the fish or anything like that. So anything that we bring in here goes through some type of quarantine system, from freshwater fish to coral to whatever. Coral does get sold much quicker. It is not hard to tell if a coral, for the most part, is doing well. You guys can look at a picture, you can look at a video. For the in-store shopper, you can actually look at the coral itself and see what it looks like to judge for yourself if that's healthy or if it isn't. 90% of the time, probably higher, if we see something that's not healthy, we always move it to a section of the tank that is not for sale. Occasionally we do get customers that actually like buying stuff like that. Obviously it's well discounted, and they like to be able to take a shot at reviving it. Everything that we get in, our tanks are set up for most pests to have fish kind of eradicate them for us instead of multiple dipping. But again, obviously when you buy anything from any store, any of your friends' houses, for coral you definitely want to dip it. So today what I want to show you guys is the reason why we don't take returns even for healthy stuff. It happens a lot. Somebody will buy some type of fish and they'll put it in their tank and it doesn't get along with the fish. Cichlids are a huge one. Even down to recently we had some customers with betas. They have a beta and they're trying to add stuff to it and the beta just won't get along with it, and then they want to return it for just to trade it in for something different. So really quickly guys, we're going to take a walk back here and show you. So this is, and this actually makes it much worse for us right now. So this is our quarantine system right this exact second. So I've shown you guys this in other videos. As it sits right now, 4 tanks up top, 2 large tanks here, 2 large tanks here. The problem with what we have going on right now, this is the biggest problem. Now it doesn't change even when we remedy this, it's not going to move. We also do have some units down here. These are very basic, sort of the run-of-the-mill. I don't love them at all. When they're made brand new, they are certainly better. These are 150 years old. For stuff like, flower horns, that they're fine. These are very tough fish. This is technically in quarantine, but there's no reason somebody can't buy this fish. They're doing very well. Just give you guys a quick look at a couple of flower horns here. But we've got 6 flower horns, and obviously they need 1 tank each, so it's taking up one almost whole section of our quarantine system. So as you guys know, we are upgrading our quarantine system to all brand new tanks. We're going to go from having 1 system that we like to actually having 5. So this will be another set of tanks. They're actually set to arrive next week. And then going down the wall this way, we're going to have another 2 systems there and then 1 up on the end. So when we get to the point where we have all this and can actually have everything running, plumbed the way we like, we are all very, very obvious where the quarantine systems are. We do show people this because we actually do get a lot of people that want to buy stuff out of the quarantine tanks. So to give you guys an idea on why it is very tricky to do livestock returns, you have to bear with me here, I'm just flipping around. To do livestock returns, the reason we can't is because we do put everything through quarantine, and it doesn't matter if it comes into us from a customer, if it comes in brand new out of a bag. It doesn't matter what it is, it has to go through a quarantine system, because when we take it out of the quarantine system, it goes into our full system, which you guys can obviously see here. Again, we have shown you guys these multiple times. So this, once it's in this system, it is very unlikely. Now again, it is not bulletproof, it is not foolproof. Once they're in our main systems, they are very unlikely to have any diseases. They have gone through quarantine for us. They are eating, which is a big deal. And again, all the systems go all the way around. They all loop the whole area. So each one of those systems is a 12 to 1,500 gallon system. They all are individually sumped. So if there is one tank here, that tank is actually connected by about 30 other tanks. But for a fish to get in this system, it does have to pass all of what we need it to do. It has to be healthy. It has to go through the quarantine system. It has to be eating. It has to be lively. We do everything we can before it goes into our systems. Again, it's not bulletproof because there are some diseases that can take quite a while. Anytime we notice anything, it does mean we have to shut the entire system down and fix the whole system. Which, let me tell you, it sucks, but it is how we do it. It is how we have to do it. So once we get the quarantine system back up and running, it will make for a much easier life. So the reason that we are not able to, and we get asked all the time, why we are not able to take, and we do take fish, don't get that wrong, when people want to just drop off fish, and we get that a lot, and we actually can benefit from it in a lot of spots. Let me show you one right here. So these were dropped off a week ago. So as you guys can tell, those are not a large, but we consider them an extra large for actual sales. Those are what are a very nice sized red belly piranha. When we got these, they were crazy. All these guys have ever eaten in their life were live mice. So when we got them, they were very tricky, even to get them to eat just any regular food. Now we have gone from all the time giving them live to they get live every third day, and that will be weaned down to absolutely nothing. We are going to do a future video that shows why we don't feed live ever, if we can avoid it. Now there are some things that you do have to feed live that you just can't get away from. There are tricks to getting away from it, but these guys, that's all they've eaten their whole life. That's what they know. So it did take us a little while to get them to be able to eat some different food. So basically what we get to with that, those are, for us to sell those are, you know, a $70, $80, $90 fish. So when somebody wants to drop them off, and there was 5 of them, that is a very good for us when we get those, to put them through a 1-week quarantine to make sure they're healthy. And those are very simple to tell. They came in healthy. There was never a sign of anything. Obviously, to get them to eat what they want to eat is very not hard. They're piranhas. They're big eaters, and they'll go at, you know, very aggressively. That's a very good deal for us. We get, the customer's only request was please try to find them a good home, which, you know, obviously we want to do that for all of our fish. But for a tank like that, to keep those, you need to have something big. If somebody came in with a 50-gallon tank, we wouldn't sell it to them. Now, we have done that many times in the past. We get yelled at for it many times in the past, but it's just what we do. If we don't feel goldfish is a big one, we have staff here that are just in love with goldfish. They won't send a goldfish to a 10-gallon tank. And we don't give the staff any trouble about that because goldfish don't belong in 10-gallon tanks. It'll lessen their life. It'll stunt their growth. They're going to get sick a lot more. It's very hard to keep a goldfish in a very small tank. So like them, that is what the customer asked. All they wanted. They didn't want anything trade. They didn't want any credit. All they wanted was to find them a good home. So for that deal, we do very well on it. Now, in another spot, when we have somebody bring in 3 guppies, the guppies are not getting along with their tank. It is very tricky for us to take three, now don't get it wrong, we do it all the time. To take 3 guppies and put them in our quarantine tank. So for right now, our quarantine tank has got, so these would be where we would put guppies. It has got a red lion monster cock flower horn, can't put them in there. It has got some tricolor angels, maybe could put it in there, but tricky. It has got some strawberry peacock cichlids, can't put it in there. And it has got some ruby red peacock cichlids, can't put it in there. The options are now a big, and again, this guy's got a monster red devil. This has got some very small killifish. I don't even know if you guys can see these on here. Super tiny, super cute fish. I'm trying to kind of let the camera zoom in, but these guys are, to say these guys are bite-sized is an understatement. They're very little. You know, and then the piranhas and then the autos. So in this spot, we can put them down here with the autocyclists. The downside to that, obviously, becomes we have got about 150 autocyclists in there. When we put them in, we are now risking the 150 auto cats that we have to make sure that nobody buys these guppies and they go through the proper quarantine. So the issue with that is it's hard to take the 3 in our current situation, put them in a quarantine. If they happen to be sick, it now risks our 200 autos that we have in there to get them sick. So it kind of starts the quarantine all back. Once you add something new to it, quarantine starts over. It doesn't matter. If you're on day 6 of 7, you go right back to day 1. If you're on day 6 of 20, you go right back to day 1 when you add something new to it. So that is why when we do stuff like that, it is very tricky. Now we do it, we have customers that drop us off bristlenose plecos that we give credit for all the time. They're very easy, we know where they come from. We still quarantine them, but it always goes well. We have customers that drop us off cherry shrimp, different kinds of shrimp. Again, something that's very easy. The quarantine isn't so long because, and we have tanks dedicated for that stuff. But that is the reason why whenever you go into your local fish store with a couple cichlids that are not getting along with your tank, if you want to get a credit for it, that could be why. It is not a store not wanting to give you something for something they're going to sell. There are just situations where whenever we get them, as hard as it is to say, sometimes it's easier to just not get them. For a couple of guppies, now we have adjusted, so in our system here, we have adjusted very well. For a couple of these tanks, we actually have there's none right now. There used to be the system that was right here. We would have a system that was just all randoms. So basically what it was called was an assortment tank. So anything that would go in there that was what we would consider a community, that would get along with itself, guppies, mollies, platies, anything like that, that would get dropped off from a customer tank shutdown or something they just didn't want anymore, we would go in that, we would price it very cheap, and we would just call it an assortment tank. So if you were to get lucky, you know, we've had roseline barbs in there for $5. We've had big plecos that are $40 plecos for $5. It is just stuff that we don't have room for. All goes together, and a lot of people are willing to quarantine on their own. So if you were able to take it quick, you get a deal on that. So I hope that explains it. If you guys have any other questions, comments, anything like that, please do me a favor, mark them below. If you like the video, certainly give us a thumbs up on it. But we hope that will give you a little bit of an explanation on why when you bring a fish into your local fish store, maybe what you thought the fish was worth if they weren't able to give you something for it, or if they weren't able to give you as much as you thought it was worth. I hope that shed some light on it. There you go, guys. We'll see you in the next one.